You're listening to The Jim Price Show.
My name is Logan, and I'm listening to The Jim Price Show.
I'm Jim Price, The Jim Price Show Daily Update. I do appreciate you all tuning in. It is January 31st, just to make sure I'm not screwing that all up. It's a Monday, 2022. Well, guys, it's the last day of the month, the first month of the year, and what have we learned over the last few weeks is that we now are going to send 8,500 troops to defend a border when we could use those 8,500 troops down at our southern border. You know, we're not paying attention to that, right? Because Uncle Joe doesn't want people going into Ukraine and finding out what really has been going on there for decades and how we've been built and manipulated and stolen from, and that's why he wants that. This is not an issue for anybody but Uncle Joe. Mr. Potato in Chief himself has got the issues. And then we got this whole thing of, by the way, if you're black and what's between your legs matter, you might just get the little wink head nod there and become the next nominee for a Supreme Court justice seat. So that seems great. That's exactly what you want to see, that we're now making sure that we have to check all the boxes to make sure, well, we got this, and we got this, and we got this, and qualifications be damned. Don't worry about that. We got to get over here and check these boxes first. The social purity effect, right? Yet this is really, really lazy. What does Sotomayor think about this? I don't think this is how this works. I don't think this is what you do, that this seat has a vagina, this seat doesn't, this one does, this one doesn't. I mean, that's how we're qualifying this? This is how we do this? How lazy and how divisive that really is at the end of the day. It's just creating divide and discourse, and I got to sit here and waste my time talking about it. So for me, at the end of the day, these are things that we got to worry about. Why is it we're not talking about Kazakhstan anymore? Why is that? Why wasn't that not a big enough distraction for everybody to pay attention to? But we also got a caravan of truckers that have gone from all the way from the west side of Canada clear to the east side, and now Trudeau is in hiding. And I'm not kind of saying that. Trudeau is in hiding. Him and his family have gone to a undisclosed safe place because these truckers are there. Well, Mr. Trudeau, if you're actually, doing the people's will, if you're such an amazing leader, then why would you ever need to run? Why would you need to run? Why would you need to hide? Why would you be that guy that just cannot, hey, dude, I messed up. I went too far. I get it. I'm sorry, man. Let me pull it back. No. When you double down and you triple down and you act like an idiot, people are going to treat you like the idiot you are. And this is what the people have had enough. I think it's great. I mean, here's the problem. Where are all these pillars of the community, these big talkers? Oh, yeah, I'm so great up here. I'm just so awesome. Vote for me. I got an industry. I'm an industry leader, blah, blah, blah. Where are these people being the leaders in this time, defaulting to freedom and looking to freedom as the constant in every interaction with our government? But it's not. We don't want to talk about that. One of the things I wanted to point out to you guys also is that if Ouchie Fauci was actually the scientist that he thinks he is, which science is supposed to be fairly reliable in a lot of ways because they like to rework it backwards and forwards. They like to create different variations of it. But what if I told you I have seen and held documentation that shows that the Mexican beer flu shot actually was developed before 2014. It was being developed in 2013, and it was actually going through clinical trials in 2014 with Fort Riley soldiers in Kansas. What if I told you that that's also the same reason that we got, quote-unquote, the Spanish flu? Now, here's the sad part of this, guys, is I'm finding these things out about our country and the things that we do to our servicemen, and we don't seem to care that they make minimum wage a lot of times. But granted, they got 4 hots and a cot, or 3 hots and a cot. Man, I'm really getting my math off today, aren't I? 3 hots and a cot. I mean, this is what they should be grateful, right? But it looks like when you do become that military property, I mean, I was in the service. I'm a disabled vet. I can't believe I can't believe what I'm seeing in my country, and the fact that these people want to give away what I thought was very important, why I volunteered for the service. But anyway, The idea that Fort Riley has now come to light again of being a vaccine test ground for government experiments, it's beginning to become a pattern here. And there's some other information that will be coming out very soon. Now, let's go back to the Spanish flu. You guys understand the Spanish flu? This is what they refer to as the prior pandemic, but that's not true because we've had SARS and beer flu and swine flu and digga-digga-dick and digga-digga-dab, blah, blah. What are all these other... Ebola. Remember Ebola was a thing? I mean, we had this whole thing where people are just dying and, yeah, your eyes bulge out and pop out of your head and all kinds of... Anyway, the Spanish flu was actually something that came out during World War I because the Rockefeller Institute... Now, I've had this post up on my Facebook page and other pages, and I have not gotten knocked for this at all for misinformation. In fact, it's been up there for over a year and has been passed around a lot, the information I was putting out. But the meningitis vaccine that the Rockefeller Institute was putting together, they developed it in horses. And then they took the meningitis vaccine, which I didn't realize meningitis was such an epidemic. But thank God we're just fixing things, right? We're doing a lot of fixing of things. And I have a problem with a lot of this because the problem is that the more I see and the more I get into this, I think the wrong guys got sponsorship. I think the AMA was the snake oil guys. I think maybe we got duped into saying, oh, yeah, we're American Medical Association, but in reality, they were just the snake oil guys that got together and got good sponsorship through the Rockefeller Institute. That the guys who are out there trying to teach you how to take care of your body through dandelion root and milk thistle and minerals and those kind of things, showing you how to take care of your body. Again, we're not paying attention to what really happened in our past. So let's go back to the Rockefeller Institute. The Rockefeller Institute was sponsored by Rockefeller, who was Standard Oil, okay? And so we go through this whole situation with the Spanish flu coming out. Why are we having all this problem in Europe? Well, prior to shipping out, a lot of these soldiers were given this vaccine, and they weren't told what it was. They were just given to them. But when they got to Europe, they had the wet conditions, the cold conditions, something they really weren't used to, caused their immunity systems to be stressed out, and they were actually becoming, very tired and lethargic. Well, this was allowing the meningitis vaccine to multiply and then shed to the general population. Now, this is well-documented facts. This is not made up. It was a man-made virus. The first one was a man-made one. This is another man-made one. But why is it that I have found and seen documentation that says in 2014 they were already doing scientific experiments with the Mexican beer flu shot in 2014? Why do I see that? Because this is what our government does to us. They think we're a bunch of lab rats and they are above us and they're so much more intelligent. And so they get to treat us like this. And that's not how the world should work. This is what we should be pushing back against. This is what the Nuremberg trials were all about, is the fact that the Nazis, the German soldiers, the German scientists, were actually going in and doing gene splicing. Sounds familiar. Going in and doing DNA manipulation. Sounds familiar. Going in and trying to put in different types of animal viruses and animal different things into human cells and human bodies. Sounds familiar. But anyway, so as the meningitis vaccine started multiplying inside these soldiers and they were contacting the general population of Europe, it spread like wildfire because it was like what we talked about, where you start sloughing off. These people who are getting these in the arms are sloughing off spike proteins to those who are around them, whether they've been shot or not. That sounds like a Shinana knot. That's like a song. That's a Shinana knot, right? Anyway, a shot or not, they're still going to be getting exposed to this shedding that happens while people are developing their immune system or whatever is actually happening. I've actually seen reports and studies that shows that you every month you lose 5% of your immunity system. So there are ways to detox yourself from this and get yourself out of this, but you're going to have to be very, very active with it. And you know what? It's all minerals. Psyllium, zinc, magnesium, manganese, vitamin C, vitamin D. That will actually, right there will detox you in ways you did not realize. But again, they're all on the periodic table. There's nothing magical here. It's just stuff we should have had. And by the way, if you are a woman, you should be taking enormous amounts of zinc. Men should be doing it as well. but especially women, especially with all the different endometriosis and all the other, I'm sorry, screw that, endometriosis and all the other types of feminine illnesses that come up can actually be solved with zinc. And these are very well studied paths of healing that have been studied by every side of the aisle on this, and it all comes out the exact same. But anyway, let's get back to the Spanish flu. Spanish flu was actually not only called the Spanish flu. Why? Why did they call it the Spanish flu? Well, it originated from the Spanish region. No. It was because the Spanish government at the time did not suppress their local newspapers from printing articles referring to this flu that was spreading worldwide. But because of that, the world picked on them and called it the Spanish flu. Because the government didn't suppress the information, they picked on Spain by calling it the Spanish flu. Look it up. It's actually very real. So a situation, again, where we're finding out that we're seeing that we're being manipulated consistently over and over and over again. You know, there's a lot of people out there that have a problem with, I don't know, let's go back to why World War I was started. Some people have, why was World War II started? Why were we in Korea? Why were we in Vietnam? Why did we get ourselves in the Middle East? Why do we keep having these real long wars that get nowhere and do nothing? Why do we see that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't believe 9/11 was actually terrorists who just happened to have their passports reach the ground after the big balls of flame that supposedly crashed into the towers? See, the problem is, guys, a lot of this is coming out and it's not getting better, and this is not aging well for our government. And the problem, and we are now talking to each other, and this is getting out there, and better information is getting out there. So then you have people that will say, well, you know, we don't believe in the moon landing. And then you got people out there saying that, well, we don't believe in JFK's, you know, assassination by Lee Harvey Oswald. Well, I'm doing good today. So the thing is that we have these situations going on right in front of our face where we're seeing this. But here's the problem. Like, well, you know, Jim, that's all conspiracy. That's just conspiracy was made up by the CIA through MK Ultra to manipulate you from feeling like you know what the truth is. You've been gaslighted by the CIA to tell you there's conspiracies. It's not a conspiracy. Most of it's a hypothesis based on facts they've already got. But anyway, it was like, oh, Jim, you know, you're way off. You know, you can't be talking about, you know, oh, that's just 9/11. That's just too sacred. See, the problem is then some people don't believe in the Challenger explosion, that those astronauts were actually died in that. And there are people out there who passed around photos and evidence that says that those individuals still walk this earth. So what I'm asking you and what I'm telling you is, what I'm asking you to think about is that, you know, really, is your government really killing it like they're batting 1,000? But at the same time, I'm telling you that there is too many things, too much writing on the wall, too much self-evident information to deny that your government is actually manipulating you. You got to be better than this. You got to look around and say, you know, what's really going on? Why do I feel like something's off? Why do I feel like this isn't right? Why do I feel like there should be something different here? And maybe that's that small, still voice inside you saying, you know what, it's time to wake up. It's no longer time to live in the darkness, staying on that hamster wheel of debt, dealing with the Corporation of America, dealing with those things that you shouldn't have to deal with. So let's get back to the Spanish flu. Do you realize that the Spanish flu actually wasn't killing anybody? It wasn't. It made people really sick. You know, and maybe people that were close to the edge got shoved over the edge, but this was not what people were dying of. The bacterial pneumonia that was caused by the cloth diapers on everybody's face. See, this is not the first time they've tried masking the world. They did it before. People got out there with little signs, you know, wear your mask, it's going to kill Nana. Well, the same thing was going on today, right? But we're too stupid to realize our own past, our own history. Because it's almost literally to 100 years to the date, and yet we're sitting around going, oh, this is so unique. I can't believe my government's doing this. This is so crazy. Then why did England take away all jabs, all masks, all cards, all the whole thing? There is no mandates in England whatsoever. Why did that happen a week ago? What's going on there? Well, I think they've gotten us to the point of where the currency collapse that they've been wanting to happen is actually going to happen now. I think they're going to see currencies collapse around the world because they've been driving inflation so high and so hard because they need to reset their debt. They need to reset the play money they've been screwing with and get themselves back on the top of the heap. They're going to shuffle the deck, but you guys aren't going to come out on top unless in this time we become the people we really need to be and actually stand up to this. There's 1.5 million people to every elite, every one elite on this earth. There's 1.5 million of us, patriots, to every one elite on earth. I think we could take them, guys. I think we could do this. I think there's a lot of us, if we bind together, we join forces to do this, we can do a lot of amazing things, but we haven't. And they know how to social distance us. To be social is to come together and exchange ideas and activities, and then distance means to stay away. But that's a negative to each other, right? Social and distance, you can't do those at the same time. Well, that's one of the things they've been trying to do with us is keep us away from each other. That's why 6 feet is so essential. Physicists and other scientists around the world have actually studied the electrical magnetic fields in our bodies and how they emanate out the top and go through the bottom of our feet. And that we're constantly we have this little bit of electrical charge going around. It's this magnetic field. And when you come in the presence of another person, you're actually combining your energies together. You're actually coming together and you're becoming one. And that allows you to tune in with that person. Then you create camaraderie and you create a bind with that person. When you're more than 3.5 to 4 feet away from a person, you become suspicious of that person. But then you put a face mask over that and on top of it, and it becomes very, very hard for you to want to be around or trust anybody, and it's easier just to stay home. It's all psychological manipulation. It's all mind manipulation. They've been doing this through MK Ultra since the 40s, but we don't want to pay attention to that, right? These are all CIA-funded projects. You can look up MK Ultra. They've been declassified. It'll tell you exactly how they've been doing it, how they've been using our media, our music, and our entertainment, our movies and such, to actually manipulate us consistently since the 40s. And that's a very true fact, and we've actually been dealing with that. And we should be better people. We should be more diligent to know what our government's doing, but they should be far more transparent and not be manipulating us. Remember, in your Bill of Rights, it says all political power is inherent in the people. All free governments are founded on their power. That's Article 2 of your Constitution, your state's Constitution. Look it up. And state constitutions are reciprocal one to another. So if there are rights in another state, those rights actually exist in your state as well. They are reciprocal one to another. And those constitutions are actually limiting the government. And if there's an elected official out there who thinks that they are something special, they need to understand what the Constitution limits their powers and limits their rights as an elected official. Not the other way around. We are not limited, and they do not have omnipotent power. They do not have omnipotent power at all. We are actually the ones in full control. All political power is inherent in the people. Article 2 of your Bill of Rights in your state. The federal government is to help uphold the state, the constitutions. And all arguments start at the Constitution, not at the end of the last conversation. All arguments start at the Constitution. Go back and start and end your conversation in the Constitution and see how amazing it really can be. See, guys, this is the problem. We don't seem to pay attention to how we've been manipulated for so long. We don't even know our own history. The Constitution never limits one American. Not one. It limits the government. It tells them that this is where you start to make sure that you're not stepping on their rights, not stepping on them, and this is how you're to run your government. Never once does it say you are allowed to limit these people. Never once. It doesn't. It does not limit you. No different than the Second Amendment that says thou shalt not infringe. That means that you can't touch the edge of the Second Amendment. And a well-regulated militia, guys, well-regulated militia is a well-practiced people's army. I'm not making those words up. I just know the definition of these things. A well-regulated militia is necessary and is necessary. A well-practiced people's army is necessary. That's not the military. That's you and I. You and I are the well-regulated militia, the well-practiced people's army. And this is where we have gone wrong, is we default this away. But we see the British Accredited Register, the Bar Association, as being part of the evil that we know is in our country and in our world. When we know that there are 70 to 80% of everybody who's in prison, that there is not a victim. See, the problem is the Supreme Court has actually ruled on this, that the state, the county, the city cannot be a victim. Well, they broke our rules. that you can't be a victim. It's in your Constitution. But we don't pay attention to that, do we? We don't pay attention to the things that are right in front of us because you've been taught not to. Worry about your electric bill, worry about your mortgage, worry about this, worry about that, and we'll take care of the government over here. We've got it just fine. You go back to sleep. But this is the world we're living in, where we are being led down the wrong paths, and we should be better than this. But somehow we keep letting this happen to us over and over again. And it's time for us to stand up and bind together and understand that we have the power, and everything in us is the power. Period. Full stop. Let me go back to the meningitis thing real quick. Remember I talked to you about this whole thing, this word using conspiracy. It's not conspiracy, it's a theory, right? And then with facts put into that theory, now it becomes more factual, and then now you can't hide the truth, right? Well, if we told you that that meningitis vaccine came out of the Rockefeller Institute, which was the one who sponsored the AMA and created the AMA with the snakes on the staff, guys, listen, there's a lot more to what I've been talking to you about what's going on, the evils around us. Do you know that they're actually in one of the governments around the world are going to bonus hospitals if they can get people to take the suicide pill? There's a suicide pill for COVID people that if you feel like if you just want to go ahead and end it, instead of dying of COVID, you can take this pill, you're dead in 30 seconds. But they're also giving away to those hospitals a bonus for everyone they can get to take that. Something's going wrong here, folks. Something is actually really, really creepy. And everybody's talking about how it's, oh, this and oh, it's that. I think a lot of people have been trained in the wrong way to understand what's going on, and they're blind to all this. They're blind to what's really going on, and we should be the people that are actually out there fighting to make sure that we stand up for those who don't know there's a fight yet. We need to be the right people. We need to do the right thing. We need to make sure that we are going to be amazing in this coming time. Now, through these things that happen with resets and different things like that, depending on how strong we are and how diligent we are, really determines what it'll look like on the other side of the reset. If we are doing the right thing as patriots and doing the right thing as freedom-seeking people, not fear-seeking people, if we are freedom-seeking people and we're out there doing our part, think of how great it would really be. Think about how awesome this would be. But we have to be the right people at the right time. And too many times I think we're actually getting very weak at this. So it does worry me that I know that we continue to repeat our patterns of manipulation and scientific experiment, and yet we're not stopping it. We're not insulted by it. We're just like, well, we're going to ask them to tell us, we're going to ask them so we can stop wearing these masks. We're going to ask them, please. I'm sorry, but all of these elected officials are your servants. They are public servants. They are in servitude towards you, and you are their masters, full stop. Read your Constitution. You will learn a lot more about how government should really be ran and what we should be doing as citizens if we just read our own constitutions. But if you don't use the Constitution, it's just as worthless as used toilet paper. If you're not going to use the Constitution, it's just as useless as used toilet paper. Guys, we have to get better at this. We have to be the ones. And by the way, the louder you are, the stronger you are, the faster you are, the quicker you are, the more of you that there is, we can stop this. We can end it in a minute. And it just takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of time. But again, that means we have to come together, not social distance, not be afraid of each other, not run from each other, not going and actually saying, oh, well, we're going to follow the science. The problem is that everything we're seeing in the arm is actually very, very detrimental to your health. You don't actually stop yourself from getting any type of infections. In fact, if you get them, you have the same recovery rate as anybody else. Then why bother to put the chemicals in your body? And by the way, if this thing was developed for something that there's all these other variants of, the original shot is not going to be worth anything. The original vaccine, it's junk. So if you're 5, 6, 12, 29, 50 billion variants into it, what good is this crap over here? You have to have had modified it. But then again, how did you come up with billions of doses of vaccine around the world? How did you have the capacity to create that many vaccines in a short amount of time, or unless you were already producing those prior to this? But just like I can tell you right now, go to congress.gov, and I'll do it with you guys real quick. And this is one of my favorite things I like to do with people, is I want to talk about the CARES Act, Oh my gosh, I keep hitting the microphone here. CARES Act. So the CARES Act actually went through Congress. HR 748. HR 748. Go congress.gov, look up HR 748, and you can see right here, it was sponsored by Representative Joe Courtney, Connecticut District 2. Somebody you guys know? Somebody you guys might understand that maybe be a problem? I mean, you guys elected him. Introduced the bill 1/24 of 2019. The beginning of 2019, they were introducing the CARES Act to take care of the COVID-19 emergency, the public health emergency related to COVID-19. That's a year and a month before the quote-unquote first case came to America. A year and a month. How did they have some magical crystal ball, knowing enough to go ahead and put together this bill, going out, finding the money, going through appropriations, going through all the different things, going through all the different amendments? There was 15 different amendments, and they passed it out. They passed it out of the House in July of 2019. They held on to it until the end of January, beginning of February, and gave it to the Senate. Guys, you have been played all along, and your Representative Joe Courtney from District 2 from Connecticut is actually a huge, huge part of that. He introduced this 1/24/2019. That means he had to have written it in 2018. But we didn't hear about any Mexican beer flu until right there around Thanksgiving. November, remember October, November, they started talking about this? See, the problem is, guys, is that how did they write this in 2018? How did they introduce it in the very beginning of they had to have written it in 2018. They introduced it in 2019, passed it out of the House. They passed it through a yay, nay call. They didn't actually do a real count. And it passed out in July of 2019. That's still 6-7 months before we got our first case in America. Think about that. This is the world we're living in. This is how these things work. So anyway, I just want you guys to realize those things going on in your life and be a part of what can be the great future. Remember, the 10% you do for your neighbor, your community, city, county, state, the federal government, the more you do for them, the less they have to do for you. So learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish. The world will be a far better place. Jim Price at thejimpriceshow.com is my email. TheJimPriceShow.com is my website. TheJimPriceShow.com is my website. Please look me up. Sign up for subscriptions there as well. Guys, thank you so much for all you're doing out there. Thank you so much for your time. But this world is ours, and it is ours to make a better future for it. As long as we stay together, we will win. Remember, hold the line, hold fast. Do not give up. Do not give in. We will win. I promise you. I will be testifying in front of the Kansas Senate committee meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. I will be testifying about election integrity, about those kind of things that we've all been talking about. But it looks like we got some really great evidence of things that we're going to introduce to our senators, and that will be happening at 10:30 a.m. Central Time in the Kansas Senate committee chamber. We should be streaming live, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, thejimpriceshow.com is my website. I'm Jim Price. This is Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be good to each other out there. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.